what's the situation with the North Anna nuclear plant in Virginia?
Well, the moment I heard that Monroe, Virginia was the epicenter, I thought, that's the hometown of North Anna Nuclear Power Plant. The current situation is that the electrical grid power, which had been lost yesterday afternoon, has been restored. That happened early in the evening yesterday. So they had to fire up the emergency diesel generators for some hours there, and guess what? One of them failed. They have 4 on site, 2 for each reactor, and one of them did not work. And so there you go again. That's a 25% failure rate on emergency diesel generators.
And if a second one had failed for the same reactor, we would be looking at what?
They would had to have scrambled quickly, probably to transfer the power from one of the other ones on site to the reactor now in the dark. They don't have a lot of time to mess around with a reactor core that goes from 100% power and is scrammed, and then you lose all power. They probably do have some battery backups, so they may have had some time margin there, but you don't want to screw around. We saw that at Fukushima Daiichi Unit 1 especially, which melted down within 5 hours of the earthquake in Japan.
Why can't a nuclear reactor use the power that it is generating from its own steam turbines to power its own cooling system?
A number in the country do have such systems, steam-operated emergency backup power coming right off the core. So the core's own heat is providing emergency backup to the core itself. But not all of them. In fact, the vast majority don't have that.
They just pull it off they pull it off the local electrical grid.
The primary source of electricity for all safety and cooling systems and the pools for high-level radioactive waste storage is the electrical grid. So you lose that, like they did at North Anna yesterday. You're thrown on to the emergency diesel backups, which have a remarkable rate of failure in this country. And if you lose those, all you got left is 4 to 8 hours of battery power. Most plants in this country only have 4 hours of battery backup. That's half the time that Fukushima Daiichi had in place.
Wow. And that really is a wow. And it's not just an earthquake that could take down the electrical grid. I mean, we're having, now that the atmosphere has 5% more moisture in it than it did 30 years ago, as a result of global warming, we're having violent, I mean, what used to be little twisters across the Midwest are now mile-wide tornadoes. They have to be taking out power grids.
Exactly, and as we speak, Hurricane Irene is heading towards the east coast of the United States. They're saying anywhere between Florida and New England could be at risk. And if you lose the primary electrical grid due to a hurricane, you're again in a crisis at a nuclear power plant. And we have dozens of reactors on the east coast of the U.S.
Yikes. Apparently, the good news is that there was no major damage done to this nuclear power plant, other than that they lost their emergency cooling and had to go to the backups where they had a 25% failure rate. The bad news is that the earthquake sensors that they had don't exist. Do I have that right?
Back in the 1990s, the Virginia Tech seismological system was removed from the North Anna plant because of budget cuts.
Budget cuts to whom?
Probably state of Virginia budget cuts. There is an overlap of regulation between state governments and federal governments on nuclear power plants. And in this case, the state of Virginia removed the seismological monitoring system.
Now, would that have been of any value to them, or was that just one more samples point for if an earthquake happens, here's data for the University of Virginia or the state seismological organization to determine its intensity?
Well, I think that is an important role for a state government to play. They needed to know instantly how bad the earthquake was in terms of where to look for damage.
Especially at the plant.
Well, one aspect of this, first reported at the Huffington Post, is there's a dam on Lake Anna, the cooling water supply for the North Anna nuclear power plant, that is considered at high risk of failure. This is a D- grade from the American Society of Civil Engineers, and the Dominion Nuclear has reported they've inspected the dam after the earthquake. They found no damage. We're still concerned, especially with a hurricane perhaps on its way that would add stress to the dam.
So if that dam goes, then the water level, the nuclear power plants require massive amounts, gazillions of gallons of water to cool themselves, which is why they're always built near water. And if that dam breaks, does that mean that the water level in the lake drops to the point where the nuclear power plant can't be sucking water out of it? Or is it downriver from the nuclear plant and we end up with a Nebraska kind of situation where the plant itself is being swamped as in the case of the Missouri River and the what was the plant there? The two plants.
Fort
Calhoun. Thank you.
The former, at Lake Anna, the North Anna nuclear power plant draws its cooling water supply for the secondary circuit out of the lake. And so if the dam
behind
were to break,
the dam,
you could lose that water supply. And you may keep the water in the primary circuit, but that primary circuit of water needs to offload that heat into the secondary circuit, which may not exist if you lose that dam. You would have no ultimate heat sink to transfer the heat into, and the core would overheat, perhaps to dangerous or even catastrophic levels.
How did we ever come up with this stupid idea of building these plants like this?
Oh, well, it goes back to Enrico Fermi in 1942, splitting atoms to make bombs, but under Eisenhower...
And feeling guilty about it.
Under Eisenhower, they decided they needed a smiley face facade on the nuclear arms race, and so they came up with atoms for peace, so-called.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, Kevin Kamp. You can read all about it over at beyondnuclear.org, and let us all hope and pray that dam doesn't go and that there's not another earthquake and that they figure out a way to make the emergency backup diesel generators at the North Anna plant a little more effective. Thank you, Kevin.